The ideas and content expressed in this podcast are our own and do not reflect views or opinions of any current or previous employers.
Boom. There it is.
I think I like the boom more than I like that disclaimer. Have you ever heard a disclaimer on a podcast before?
Never.
That's weird.
Why are we even doing it?
Because we're just claiming that it's our own views.
Because we're you know what we're doing? We're not giving anybody else credit for our genius. That's what we're doing. We're like, we're the smartest, and nobody else is smarter than us.
And seriously, don't hold anybody that we know accountable.
Yes, please. All right. Welcome to episode 10, Construction Management Podcast.
10?
10. What the fuck? What? Episode 10. 10
seems like a lot.
Amazing podcasts.
I mean, there's 8 amazing podcasts.
Jason, we're changing lives. We are making lives better.
I love it.
Across the world. Have I mentioned that?
I love listening to us talk.
I told you that, right? For international superstars?
Yes, you mentioned it a few times.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. I think I mentioned it. I told Gina that people are going to stop referring to her as Gina, and they're going to start calling her Damien Edwards' wife.
Sure, she was thrilled.
She was like, thank God.
She's like, oh, that's weird. You're usually not cocky around the house.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Today we're going to talk about something critically important to your health and well-being, and that is stress management.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been stressed.
Right. Construction management, any job really can be stressful. Construction management can be, I feel like, considerably stressful at times.
It can consume you.
It can 100% consume you. That's a great way to put it. So Jason, what about this job is stressful?
I mean, the list is vast.
It really is.
Just the job itself, being that there's deadlines and there's checkpoints all through a build process, that if I miss this critical point today, that it is going to make my life so hard in the weeks coming up. And if you're anything like me, you're not just doing one, man. You're doing dozens at the same time, and it's like one slip up or one issue can just snowball to the point where you're like, and I think I always kind of hold on to that thought in the back of my mind, like, if this doesn't work, oh God, my world is going to come crashing down.
Oh my God. So, I mean, it can be anything can cause those delays, right? I mean,
construction in general if you're managing it, it is a stressful thing because there are so many moving pieces, and there are deadlines and checkpoints along the way. So
definitely. And not only that, you're being judged by your manager, you're being judged by the customer, you're being judged by the city, the municipality you're building in. You're beholden to your contractors.
And I feel like those things are stress on top of the fact that there's just this looming schedule that must go on, otherwise you'll fail. And so that's another good example. All the people that are counting on you or that are evaluating you,
judging you, man, right? Judging. Not to mention,
such a strong word.
The weather. We're beholden to the rain. Right. To there's so much. Not only that, the money. Construction projects are not inexpensive. They are super expensive depending on the project you're building. So not only do you have all the quality control type aspects judging you, the client, the municipality, your boss, you've also got the money, because time is absolutely money in a construction project, because you're paying for the dirt that project is sitting on typically until it's finished and sold or leased or whatever you're doing. So there is a tremendous amount of stress that goes along with that. Poor workmanship, trash on the job site, sediment erosion control violations, safety violations, your boss, deadlines. It just piles on. And it can really, really affect your health in a lot of really negative ways. Yeah. I've heard of people with, I don't know how you say this, gastrointestinal problems that have arisen from the stress of the job site.
Like an ulcer?
Like an ulcer, like the shits, we're going to call it. Because that is
if your job is giving you the shits, folks, maybe you're not cut out for this line of work.
Maybe get some more fiber in your diet. So, but I mean, you can stress by itself can cause, and it's across every industry. Stress can cause so many
blood pressure,
high blood pressure,
and...
migraines, headaches, muscle aches. Believe it or not, stress will destroy your body if it's not managed properly and left to just fester. Not to mention just the anxiety that you get from it. I can tell you, I have sat in my truck or my car or my office waiting for inspectors or whomever to show up and just been riddled with anxiety. I hope we did everything. I hope we get it, because if I don't get this today, like you were saying, the project's going to be delayed. I got to call my manager and explain to him the project got delayed because my nailing pattern was wrong, or whatever the wonderful inspector came up with to fail me for, who works so hard and does such a great job. He's
probably just stressed about his own stuff.
For sure. When they're stressed about the liability, what if they miss something? So anyway, there's stress all the way around. Mm-hmm. But like we were saying, stress can do really bad things to you. It can can affect your sleep pattern, so you're not getting enough sleep at night, which makes you tired the next day, which adds to your stress. There are people that will actually regress in their maturity level, just start doing stupid stuff.
Not us in particular.
Not us. Not
you
us.
have to be mature.
Other
to
people. Other people. But it can lead to problems with your families, because you go home, you got a short temper, you start screaming at your wife, you're kicking your dog, you're yelling at your kids. Mm-hmm. Stress is just a it's a beast, man.
And for the record, those kids and that wife and that dog can stress you out before you get to work some days, dude. Too. That's so that's sure. Like, talk about piling on. But
yeah. So anyway, so let's talk about ways we can mitigate our stress, because there's a ton of ways to do it. And I'm gonna throw out the first one, the most important one that I think, and I think you work out pretty regularly, right?
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like you do. Mm-hmm. Exercise is probably the greatest stress reliever out there.
Yeah.
And I know so many guys that don't take the time just to get basic exercise. Yeah. Even a walk around the block a couple of times.
Fresh air. Take a couple deep breaths.
Yeah.
Stretch out.
It's so critical to managing that stress, and it's good for your body. So exercise, people, I assume everybody knows this. You exercise, your body actually releases endorphins. It make you feel good, releases stress. It's good cardiovascularly. It's good for your muscular system.
I do a lot of yoga. I think you do
yoga
man.
Too.
I do
Absolutely.
a lot of yoga, and I know that, well, that's mainly because I just like to be able to, touch my toes.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm pretty stiff. I'm 38, and it's starting to creep up on me a little bit. But if I don't work out, I notice that stress in general is much higher. It's harder to look positively at the challenges ahead when I'm not in shape and working out actively.
Well, not only that, when you don't work out, you probably think to yourself, "Oh, I'm not working out," and it adds to your stress.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, exercise is probably the number one thing to combat stress in our bodies, and it also gives you an opportunity just to to breathe heavy, to get that heart going. It's I can't say enough about it. And yoga is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I showed up on a job site in my Prius. This was in 2007. Guys already knew I was doing a bunch of martial arts, but a lot of yoga. And they're like, "Oh my God.
Did you just come from yoga practice?"
They're like, "Look at you." Everybody's got their big trucks. I'm like, whatever, man. I'm getting 44 miles to the gallon and I can touch my toes, so F you. Anyway, but so you mentioned another really good one, and that is just a positive attitude. If you can stay positive, if you can put a positive spin on things mentally, so you get into a habit. So I'll give you an example. I coach lacrosse, and anytime I hear, "Oh, I can't do that," well, I don't hear it anymore because it's not allowed on my job or my team. Mm-hmm. We never say I can't. It's always positive. I need to work on this. I need to practice this. Mm-hmm. But it's that mindset. When you start to use positive words in your speech, it actually will aid in stress relief, because now you're not consumed with the negative. We have this challenge. We can overcome it by doing this, as opposed to, I have a problem. I'll never get past it. Just keeping that positive attitude, that positive mindset is super important to not allowing the stress to pile on.
Yeah, well, we work for a big company.
Yep.
And I had, wise man once told me,
Was it me?
No. It's he said that your company is always going to figure out, just because you're the same position as the guy next to you, your same title, maybe even the same pay, doesn't necessarily mean you're capable of the same things or the same amount of things. And so he goes, the company will figure out exactly what you're capable of. And then give you 20% more.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about now?
I think so. Because he said, I think the same person said to me, I'm going to give you an 8-ounce glass and 10 ounces of shit. And your job is to figure out which of the 12 ounces is the most important to get in that 8-ounce glass. And I was like, okay, thank you,
I don't know why
sir.
you're storing shit in a glass, but...
We got to put it somewhere. Anyway.
No, but it's true. I mean, stress is inevitable.
Yep.
You have to do things to stay out ahead of it.
Yep.
Because what I see a lot in this industry with CMs in general
I know what you're going to
is
say.
jumping ship because they... Is that what you thought I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say alcoholism.
Well, alcoholism is a thing. It definitely is. But no, I was saying you talk to some construction managers and it's like, how many companies have you worked for in the last 10 years? Oh, 6 companies, huh? Doing what? Oh, the exact same job.
Yeah.
And the truth is, grass is always greener. There are easy points in your career. There are tough points in your career.
For sure.
If you can't power through those 6-month periods where you know it's going to be tough and you might not be getting exactly what you want, then you're probably going to always be at the same exact level, moving to a situation that's exactly like what you've got where you start over again.
Yeah.
So I think that dealing with stress is a super important part of what we do because
100%.
That's how you end up being successful. You have to work through it.
Yep, I agree. All right, so we got ways to deal with stress. We have exercise, we have staying positive. Get a hobby.
Oh, yeah.
Get a hobby. I know you like to fish and hunt. That's probably huge for you.
On a turkey this morning, real close.
You know, I recorded you making a gobble sound. I'm gonna sneak it into this podcast somewhere. But getting a hobby or a distraction is so critically important. I know for me, I have like 18 hobbies. I'm not particularly good at any of them.
Yeah.
But they're hobbies and they're distraction. You know what I mean?
I say if you have just work and home, and you go from work to home to work to home to work to home, eventually you're going to lose your freaking mind.
Eventually.
Well, you're
100%.
Definitely going to be an alcoholic, but you're going to lose your mind at some point.
Well, that's
also
the fun part. Anyway, so we've got exercise, we've got to stay positive, we have to give a hobby. How about the food we put in our body? You need to eat a healthy diet. Doesn't mean you can't have pizza for lunch, but maybe throw some broccoli in that dinner or a salad.
Yeah, well rounded.
You got to feed your body like it's a high performance machine, because it is. So diet is super important. Set limits on how, I shouldn't say set limits, but if you can be assertive instead of aggressive. So I know a lot of super aggressive construction managers. I myself have been accused of being a super aggressive construction manager. When I was younger.
Right.
Now I'm older and wiser, and I'm assertive.
He's assertive, folks.
I'm assertive, but it's different. Rather than being super aggressive, I'm assertive, and it's led to less confrontations.
Yeah, I think I said it even before on one of our shows that, I remember being younger in this business and thinking, I don't want to be like that guy. I don't want to be the guy that complains all day and screams at everyone. I want to come in and slap high fives with people and tell jokes and have a good time. And I'll tell you what, a positive attitude and having a happy life rather than an angry life. It's addicting and it is contagious. 100%. And it makes it so that when people come around you, they feel like you're acting, and it spreads to everybody else, and it makes it a more productive job, and it makes it so that it doesn't suck to come to work every day.
Yeah, people will gravitate toward you. There's no question about it. So another thing that's important is get enough sleep. If you're working on a job where you got to be there at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, go to bed early enough to where you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep. It is so important to let your body rest so that when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to drag yourself out of bed and drink 18 cups of coffee just to get through the morning.
Yeah.
Unless you love the taste of coffee, which I do, which is why I drink so much coffee.
I drink a lot of coffee, and I feel like this next thing you're about to say is like we're such hypocrites, but...
I'm not even going to mention it yet. I'm going to keep it to the end. Because something else that I noticed, I did this myself yesterday. Have an organized workplace. Mm-hmm. It's so important. If I come into your office and there are stacks of paper everywhere and just shit all over the desk and you've got boxes of crap on the floor, my first impression is going to be, this guy is not organized. Mm-hmm. This guy does not know.
That increases your stress. If something's mess,
it absolutely increases. So that's the thing. So take the time to organize your workspace, organize your car so that there's not trash. I years ago, I worked for a VP. He would get out of his car. He was a big fat asshole. He would get out of his car. Trash would fall out of the car. Pizza boxes, McDonald's wrappers. He'd have chewing tobacco coming out of his mouth. He'd use his tie to wipe his face off. It was a mess. And
I always said he was dressed up though.
I always thought to myself, how the hell did that jerk get to that position? Yeah. It was a different time. But anyway.
And also, if you could take punishment for long enough, eventually you'll be in charge.
Yeah. So you got that going for you. Anyway, so another thing that's important to mention, and this is probably where Jason thought I was going with this. I have heard this statement so many times in my career, and at first I didn't understand it. But as I gain more experience and interact with more people, I've heard this expression. Jason, you tell me if you've heard this before. I have to drink at night in order to go to sleep, so I stop thinking about the job.
Well, I hear that a lot.
Dude,
I do that occasionally.
Yes, I know.
It's yeah, I know. Maybe we're guilty of it, but I mean, the truth is, if you've got a good schedule, and you're in decent shape, and you're eating good, all of that stuff is a lot easier. I know that we joke about how much we drink. It's not like we're drinking ourselves stupid here. It's not.
No,
I don't like to drink myself to bed. That's not what we're talking about.
No, but that is a huge problem.
It is a huge problem. It is a huge problem.
So I hear it all the time, and I always am like, dude, when I hear that from somebody, I always tell them, look, that's adding to your stress. What happens is, I can't get super technical on this, but what happens is, if you drink every single day like that, you are programming your brain. I forget what it's called. There's a certain aspect of your brain that can't go to sleep until it gets that. Not necessarily the addictive portion of it, but it gets to your, that becomes your new normal. So that's why you can't sleep. It's not because of the job. So honestly, if you're at that point, get some exercise instead.
Yeah.
Release the endorphins through exercise or something else. We only bring it up because we care.
All things in moderation.
All things in moderation. Don't get me wrong. I love to. My name's Damien. I like to party. But all things in moderation.
Yeah.
I don't want. Alcoholism is a serious problem in this country and particularly in this industry. That's all. I
like your next one. I like the next one that you jotted here.
What did I put on
Seek out social support. Spend enough time with those you enjoy. And I also like to spend time not only with my friends and family outside of work, but with people that you do work with. I feel 100%. like especially construction managers, your goal is to get home. Is that true? Is that a fair statement? A lot of CMs I see, even when you have something that there is available to do, sometimes some of those guys are like, nah, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I think it's important that you can go to share stories, to commiserate, to relate to the people that you work with about how difficult something is or how good something was that was accomplished.
Yeah. You know why, though? Because if you don't, in your mind, you're the only one with that problem.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So when you can go and commiserate with other people that are having the same struggles and giving you ideas, well, this is how I overcame that problem.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you better at your job, and it makes you realize, I'm not alone at this. There are other people doing the same thing that I'm doing.
That's right.
And that can be a huge stress relief just in and of itself, knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a job site that's like remote. That's the worst, man, because then you're on an island. So, if you have the opportunity to go and be social with people that, doing the same thing as you or within the same company as you, go. Take the time to go and do that.
I definitely went to a job where it was a small townhouse community, and I was there by myself a lot. Mm-hmm. And I felt like when I did get around people I worked with, I just couldn't shut up because I was so excited to talk to people I can relate to again.
Oh yeah, dude, you find when I visit jobs that are kind of remote, I'm like, okay, I'm only going to be there for 20 minutes.
It's like you paddled up to a deserted island.
It's exactly what it's like, and all of a sudden,
oh my god, thank God you're here.
People are like, let me tell you all about this. Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about my dog. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But that comes back to time management. We talked about it a while ago, and I say in my head, I have to get away from this person because they're wasting my time.
Right.
But in that situation, I will actually say, you know what? I'm going to spend some time with this person.
Yeah, because you need it.
They need it, I need to be here for them. Yeah. So anyway, that's super important.
How about the last one that you got there? That's
the state organized.
No, I was just going to say that if you end up with a stress problem and you should potentially look into seeking some sort of a treatment.
Yeah,
if you have to go to talk with somebody or seek a mental health professional to find out what it is that's making you tick the way you are.
So what's weird, man? When I'm a little bit older than you are, not much.
Super old.
Not much at all. But when I was a kid, like mental health illness or whatever was like, that dude's crazy. He's a whack job. He's just crazy.
Either crazy or like a weakness.
Yeah, like a weakness.
Like is weak to be stressed out or something.
Yeah, but that is not the case.
It's not at all.
Dude, because why we would ignore the brain and put that out? It's like the most important thing in your body. Why we would look at that and say, oh, well, if you're stressed out, you're just weak is insane.
Or depressed. I mean, depression that comes from the high levels of stress. Like that's not something you did wrong. It's just how you're perceiving the things around you. And you know what? Like I said, if you want to be in construction management and you want to make any money doing it, I mean, very rare do you hear, hey, I build one house a year, man, and I make a ton of money. Like, that doesn't ever happen. It's normally like, hey, I built way too many houses for each year, and I barely am holding it together.
Yeah, I'm about to, start kicking puppies. So, yeah.
No, I mean, if you need something like that, get yourself right, because
absolutely
that can change. Sometimes you just got to get over the hump.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to deal with it.
I will tell you, dude, that depression destroys families.
Sure.
If you let the stress get you to the point where you are depressed, it affects the people around you. It can be all encompassing. You really, you got to get help.
Certainly. And we don't want to scare off anybody who's in
this job will kill you.
No, but I mean, we've talked about how we have a lot of people that are in school for construction management. These are the same kind of stresses that you have while you're in school. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say, oh, I had that nightmare again that I'm back in college and it's time to take a final and I sit up and I'm like, well, I've graduated like 8 years ago. That's stupid. Why am I still thinking about that? But that type of stress, that knowing that something's coming up and you're worried about it, that's what we're talking about here. It's the same thing.
So just to recap, construction management can be super, super rewarding. But like any career, if you're serious about it, there are stressors, right? So just managing that stress, no matter what you do, whether it's construction management or you're a doctor or you're, working at McDonald's or you're pumping gas, whatever you're doing, you're an accountant, you got stress. And learning to deal with it will lead to a happier you, happier family, happier life. Whether it's exercise, diet, your hobbies, talking to people, commiserating with them, find something that helps you deal with your stress and do that thing. It will definitely lead to a better you, better life, just more fulfillment as you go through your day-to-day. So we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, that's episode 10, buddy. That's a wrap right there.
That's a wrap?
That's a wrap. That's the end of season 1.
Man, I don't want it to be the end of season 1.
Well, don't worry. Season 2's right around the corner, brother.
Well, I've had fun doing these last 10, and I feel like these things are stuff that we deal with on a regular basis.
Oh, I just thought of something terrible.
What's that?
Do you think by wrapping season 1 we're causing stress to our listeners?
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. They're probably like, thank God.
Hope season 2's better.
All right, season 2 is going to be extraordinary. All right, gentle listeners, thank you so much. Keep those comments rolling in. We love them. The support has been overwhelming. It's been fantastic. Season 2, we got some changes to the format. We're going to jazz it up a little bit. And that's it. And that's it, buddy.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.